Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Today is the 16th class. We are in the second module and we are learning what is the meaning of lists in Python. If you have not attended my previous classes, then you can see the videos which are on YouTube. I will share with you a web page on which the list of all my classes with the links are there. You can visit those and you can see if you have any doubts. You can please note them down and you can ask me in the next class. We have started with the second module. We have started with lists. We have understood what is the meaning of a list. A list is collection. It's a sequence of elements. Elements of a list can be of any data type. To access elements of the list, we use something called as an index. The index of the first element of the list is 0. Then you can add elements to a list by concatenating lists and so on. So we have seen basically all that. And then in the last class, what we did was we had written a program to use loops to read values into a list. Okay, we had written a program to read values into a list, and then I had executed the program to read multiple values from the user, and then finding out which is the greatest of all, which is the largest number of all the entered numbers. So we had read all the values into a list, and then we had seen which is the largest number in the list. That program we had written in the last class. Okay. Now let us write some more programs and let us understand some more programs of how to use a list with loops. We will see. Okay. Let us look at this program here right now. Okay. You can see that this program is quite simple. You know what this program does is it will see this is how the output will be. This is how the output will be. So when you execute the program should first display you enter the name of cat1, then you will enter something. Then it should ask you enter the name of the second cat, then you enter something. Then it will ask you to enter the name of the third cat, and then you will enter something. So every time the program is asking you enter the name of the cat 3, enter the name of cat 4, 5. Every time this number is increasing here, 1, 2, 3. You can see, and then finally it will continuously keep reading a name. It will be continuously reading a name, and then it will be adding it to the list. It will be adding it to the list. It will be adding all these elements. Okay, Zophie, Puka, Simon. So all these names that is entered by the user will be entered into a list. It will be entered into a list. A list will be prepared. Okay, and then finally, if you want to stop entering the names of the list, then you have to, the moment it asks you, please enter the name of the 7th cat or 8th cat, whatever it is. If you simply press enter without entering anything here, if you don't enter any name and press enter, then it will stop reading the names from you, and the program will then display this output. It will display you the cat names are, and then it will display you all these names that you have entered in the program. The program is quite simple. It simply reads variable number of names from the user. Every time you enter a name, it will be added to the list. And then finally, if you want to stop entering names, then you simply press enter without entering a name to the cat. And then the program will display the cat names are, it will display you all the names that you have entered, and it will stop the program. And the code for this program is here on the top. Let us try to understand. It is only this much. First of all, what you do is you declare a list called as cat names, and it is empty initially. Okay, it is empty. You don't write anything in the list. It is an empty list. As and when you will be reading new elements in the list, you will be concatenating the element that you have read into the list. You will be concatenating list, because you know you can concatenate lists by using the plus operator. Then you take a while loop. Okay, you take a while loop. While true. What is the meaning of while true? While true means it is an infinite loop. This loop will continue forever. Okay, while true means whatever is there in the body of the loop will execute continuously without any condition. It will run the body of the loop. Okay, what can bring you out of this loop? Only a break statement. If you have a loop called as while true, remember it is an infinite loop, and the only statement that can bring you out of the loop is a break statement. Now see what happens. While true, first of all, you ask the user to enter the name of the cat. So you say enter the name of the cat. Okay, what is the len function do? The len function will give you the length of the list. So if I say len of cat names. What is cat names? Cat names is the list. What is the length of cat names? Right now it is 0. It is 0 because there are no elements. So length of cat names is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So that's why in the first iteration of the loop, it will display you enter the name of cat 1, because the length of cat names is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1, and then it will display you 1. Enter the name of cat1. Okay. And then or enter nothing to stop means if you want to stop entering the names, don't enter anything and place on the enter button. So that's why you can see the output here. It is displaying you. Oh my God, where did it go? Yeah, there it is. So it is asking you to enter here. Enter the name of cat1 and into bracket, then or enter nothing to stop the program. So that is what is this statement here, or enter nothing to stop the program. Okay. So you display this to the user, and then after that, whatever the user enters, how do you read it? You use the input function. So you say input, and whatever is entered by the user, you take it into a variable called as name. You take it in a variable called as name, and then you check if name is equals to nothing. If the user has entered nothing and simply he has pressed on the enter button, then what should happen? Break should happen. Break means it should stop reading the values from the user. Okay, so you read the name from the user, put it into a variable called as name, and then after that you check what is the content of the variable name. If it is equal to nothing, if the user has not entered anything, then it means that the user wants to stop entering the names, and then you should break. You should come out of the while loop. And if the user has entered something in the name, then name will not be equal to nothing. So break will not happen. It will go to the next statement. So in name, there is something. The user has entered something in name. So that I construct a list by putting it in the square brackets. I concatenate that with my previous cat names. What is cat names? Cat names is my empty list. So I concatenate the newly entered cat name with the previous cat names. And finally, I keep that data into cat names. So cat names is equals to cat names plus the name that is entered by the user. I concatenate the new name that is entered with the previous, and then keep it back into this. So every time in cat names, you have the updated list of all the entered names. And once this has happened, this happens in the while loop. So this while loop will take care that every time you are reading a new value, if it is equals to something, then it will concatenate it to the list and keep it back in the list. If you have entered nothing, then it will come out of the loop. Finally, after coming out of the loops, the cat names are, this is what will get displayed to you, the cat names are, and then you take a loop for name in cat names is the list, then you display simply the names, print name. So the for loop can be used like this, for name in cat names is the list. So you know that there is something called the for loop. We use the for loop to iterate through all the elements of the list. So we write for name, this is the variable in cat names, then you print names. Names means it will display you the name of the element that is there in the list. So that's why the first thing gets displayed is enter the name of the first cat or enter nothing to stop. So the user enters Zophie and Puka and all that. So you know that how to use the for loop to and the while loop. So I'll just copy this, Control C, and I will execute this program and I will show it to you. I will open Sublime Text. I'll paste this and I'll save this file. I will save it in the D drive. I have Python test files. You all know that I'm keeping all my files here, and I will call this as lst list WHILE list while.py list while. Okay, please remember the name of the file. It is lst_while.py. Okay, so now this is in the while loop. You know how important indentation is. One tab space inside. Okay, that I write it there. One tab space inside, one tab space inside, one tab space inside. So this has to be there, and remaining everything will remain there. This is how it should be. Okay, so all these statements from here to here is in the while loop, and in the for loop you're displaying the names. Okay, I think good enough. So file, save the program. I saved it. I go to the command prompt. I want to execute the program, so I go there and then go to the D drive. Then I have my Python test files, and then I want to execute the program. So I Python. What is the name of the file? It is lst_while.py. Enter. So you can see it asks me enter the name of the cat1. Okay, so I will enter. Let us say KITTY, Kitty. Then it will ask me, please enter the name of the second cat. So I enter Leo, and then enter the name of the third cat. Okay, I enter Percy, something like that. And then enter. Then it asks me, please enter the name of the fourth cat. I don't want to enter anything. So I simply press the enter button and then it says the cat names are Kitty, Leo, and Percy. Okay, same program. The logic is important here. What we are doing is we are taking a while loop while the user is not entering nothing. Keep reading the names and keep concatenating it to the list. Once the user enters nothing and presses on the enter button, break will happen. It will come out of the loop. Out of the loop, then it will say the cat names are, and then it will display me all the names in the list. Let us run the program once again, and I will show you. Now it is asking me to enter the name of the first cat. I'm not going to enter anything. Simply I will press on the enter button, and then it says the cat names are. It will not display anything because the list does not contain anything. Okay, there is not even a single element in the list, so that's why it did not display me anything. Okay, I hope you have understood this program. Now let us go further and try to understand. Okay, using loops with lists, how to use this loops with list. Okay, we can use a for loop for I in range of 4. You know what does the range function does? The range function will generate a list starting from, it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till 4. It will generate the range function. We have studied the range function, then we will doing the for loop. Okay, and then I can also do like this for I in 0 to 1 to 3. Instead of writing the range function, I can also write it in the form of a list. So I can write for I in this list, and every time in the iteration of the loop, the value of I will be this. In the first iteration of the loop, the value of I will be 0. In the second iteration of the loop, the value of I will be 1. In the third iteration of the loop, the value of I will be 2. In the fourth iteration of the loop, the value of I will be 3. Okay, so every time the body of the loop gets executed, in each execution of the body of the loop, the first execution of the body of the loop, the value of I will be 0. In the second execution of the body of the loop, the value of I will be 1, and so on. So this is, I can either use it like a range of 4. I can directly write a list here. I can directly write a list here. Okay, now look at this example here. Look at this example. What I do here is that I have got a list called as supplies, and then the supplies list has got 4 elements in it: pens, staplers, flamethrowers, and binders. So there are 4 elements. If I want to display all these items, then what I do is I do like this: for I in range. Okay, you know what does the len function does? What does the len function does? It will give you the length of the supplies list. What is supplies? Supplies is the list. So if I write len of supplies, it will be 4. It will be 4 because that is the size of the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is actually for I in range of 4. So range of 4, you know, if I say range of 4, it starts from the value of I in the first iteration will be 0. The value of I in the second iteration will be 1. Then 2, 3, and so on. So what I'm printing in the body of the loop is index str of I. Index of I in the first iteration. What is the value of I? It is 0. I have to convert it to str. Why? Because I'm concatenating that with an str. Okay, I is an integer. I have to concatenate this I to a string. So that's why I have to convert it into a string. So hence I'm using this str function here. And then again there is continuation of concatenation of string, because finally I want the output to be like this. Index 0 is in supplies is pens. Index 1 in supplies is staplers. Index 2 in supplies. I want the output to be like this. So that's why I have to do all this. So index 0, first iteration I is 0. In supplies is supplies of I. Supplies of I will give me the first element of the list. Quite simple. So what we are learning is we are learning how to iterate through the elements of a list. I have a list, and if I want to have a loop, and in the loop I want to iterate through all the elements of the list. Then I can use the for loop like this. Okay, so this is how we make use of loops with lists. Then come the in and the not in operators. There are 2 operators which are built in to lists. If you want to check whether a particular element is there in a list or no, we use the in operator. If I want to check if a particular item is not there in a list, then I can use the not in operator. Now let us see how to use this. This is quite simple. Okay. If I say the string howdy, if it is there in this list, is it there? I have hello, I have hi, I have Heyas, and then I have howdy here. It is there. So if I use the in operator, if I check if this howdy is there in this list or no, it will return a true if it is there. If it is not there, then it will return a false. For example, there is a list called as spam. There is a list called as spam in which there are 4 elements. Hello, hi, yes, and howdy. Then I check, is cat there in spam? If is this cat element there in this spam list, it is not there, so it will return a false. So we use the in operator. Simple. In operator is very simple. We use it to check whether a particular element is there in a list or no. Similarly, you know the opposite of in is not in, it will check if this element is not there in a list or no. So take this example here. I have a list called as my pets. It contains 3 elements, Zophie, Puka, and Fat Tail. Print, enter a pet name. Okay. So you want to check if a particular name that the user enters is there in the list or no. So you ask the user to enter a name. So you take input, you copy it into this. So the user will be entering some name, it will get copied into the variable name, and then you check if name that is entered by the user, not in my pets, not in my pets. So whatever the user enters, if it is there, then this part will get executed. If this name is present in the list, this will get executed. If the name is not present in my pets, then this part will get executed. So we use the in and the now not in operators to check if a particular item is present in the list or no. Okay, so let us take and execute this program. It's a file new, I paste it here, file save. I will call this as in not in.py. In not in.py, this is the name of the file. Okay. In not in example, example.py. Okay. Now, if this is how it is. So there is a list already called as, it contains 3 elements, Zophie, Puka, and Fat Tail. Then you read a name from the user. If it is present, it will say it is present. If it is not present, then it will say it is not present. Okay, so I'll clear the screen and execute my program. What is that? In not in example.py. Enter. So first it is asking me enter a pet name. I will say okay, Lucy. I will enter Lucy. Is this name Lucy? When I enter Lucy, now Lucy will get copied. The input function will read from me the name, and then it will keep that value Lucy into name. So Lucy value that I have entered will get copied into the variable name. And then now you're checking if name not in pets. What is name? Lucy. Is this name Lucy? If Lucy not in my pets, is it there? Lucy is not there in my pets. My pets is only Zophie, Puka, and Fat Tail. Okay, so Lucy is not present. So it will display, I do not have a pet named Lucy. So see, I entered Lucy, and then it says, I do not have a pet named Lucy. I will execute this program once again. It is asking me again for a, so I enter Puka. Okay, I enter Puka, which is present in the list. I press enter. Puka is my pet. Puka is my pet, so it displays you that appropriate message. I hope you understood what we are trying to do here. We are using the built-in operators in and not in. In and not in are 2 built-in operators which are used in lists to check if a particular element or item is present in the list or no. Let us go further. Multiple assignments trick. Yeah. Now, if you want to assign these values, what is this cat? Cat is a list. Cat is a list. And how many elements are there in the list? Fat, gray, and loud. There are 3 elements in the list. What is the name of the list? It is cat. I want to put these values, fat, gray, and loud, into 3 variables: size, color, and disposition. Okay. How do I put it? I say size is equals to cat of 0, because cat of 0 is nothing but fat. So I put the value fat into a variable size. If I want to put the second element of the list into a variable color, then I do color is equals to cat of 1. Similarly, if I want to put this third element of the list into a variable disposition, then I do disposition is equals to, by the way, disposition is the name of the variable, is equals to cat of 2. So now loud will be copied into disposition. Instead of doing this like this, instead of using the index 1 0 1 2 and then having so many multiple statements here, okay, you can simply do this. Okay, what is cat? Cat is list containing fat, gray, and loud. You can simply do this. Size, comma, color, comma, disposition is equals to cat. What is cat? Cat is the list. So automatically, all the elements of the cat list, all the elements of the cat list, fat, gray, and loud, will be assigned to these variables size, color, and disposition. The first element of cat, which is fat, will be assigned to the first variable here. The second element of cat, that is gray, will get copied into the second variable, that is color. And the third element of the cat will get copied into the third variable, that is disposition. So instead of doing this, you can always do this also, no problem. So this is called as multiple assignment trick. So you can assign the values of a list to multiple variables in just one statement. In just one statement, you can assign it. Instead of doing this like this, you can do it like this also. Provided you have to know one thing. If let us say I have written I have three elements in the list: fat, gray, and loud. And then here I have written three. I have to have exact number of variables on the left hand side of the equals to sign. I have to have exact number of variables on the left hand side. How many elements are there on the list on the right hand side? I have three elements in the list, so I should have exactly three variables on the left hand side of the equals to sign. Since cat list contains three values, I should have three variables here. If I write a fourth variable here, if I write a fourth variable comma x, if I write fourth variable, if I say equals to cat, then it will give me an error. It will give me an error. So the number of variables should be equals to the number of elements in the list. So that is what is written here. Yeah, there it is. So you can see the variable, the list cat contains three values inside it, but here you have written size, color, disposition, and name. Name is another variable, is equals to cat. Now this gives you an error saying that not enough values to unpack, like that it says. So you get a value error. You get a value error. All that. The next is using the enumerate function. Let us understand what is the meaning of the enumerate function with lists. To understand the enumerate function, we have to go back to the previous example where we had used range of len of some list. Len of some list will give you the length of that list. It will give you how many items are there in that list, the length of that. And then range means it will give you a list starting from 0, 1, 2, like that. Okay. Instead of using this, we can use enumeration. Instead of using this technique here, we can use enumerations. Now, how to use enumerations? What is the meaning of an enumerator? Let us say that I have a list here called as supplies containing 4 elements in it: pens, staplers, flamethrowers, and binders. And we can take a for loop like this: for index, comma, item in enumerate supplies. What is supplies? Supplies is the list. We are enumerating it. Okay, we are enumerating it. Okay. So we are iterating through the supplies list. We are iterating through the supplies list using an enumerator. So if I say item in, this enumerator, every time in the body of the loop, in every iteration of the body of the loop, the element of the list supplies will be assigned to this variable item. When I say enumerate supplies in the for loop, in every iteration of the loop, the value of item will be every item from the list. So in the first iteration of this loop, item will be values pens. So the value pens will be assigned to item. In the second iteration of the loop, the value staplers will be assigned to the variable item. In the third iteration of the loop, the value flamethrowers will be assigned to the variable item. Okay, and similarly in the fourth iteration, in the last iteration of the loop, the value binders will be assigned to the variable item. So that's why if I say print item, it will display me pens, staplers, flamethrowers, and binders. If I say print item, because item, I told you that in every iteration will contain that value from the list. First iteration item will be pens. Second iteration item will be staplers, flamethrowers, binders in the third and the fourth iteration. And then hence I can display that directly here. I can simply display it here. So enumerate is a technique to, it will return you two values. Okay. What it will return you is, it will not only return you the item of the list, but it will also return you the index of that list. Okay. So I have two variables here. Okay. Index and item. What is index? Index is the index of that item, and item is the actual item. So pens is the first item. It is present at what index? 0th index. Staplers is the second item in the list. It is present at what index? 1. It is present at index 1. Flamethrowers is the third item. It is present at index 2. And the fourth item in the list is present at index 3. So the enumerate function returns you two values, index and item. Index is the index at which the item is present, and item will contain the actual item, pens, stapler, flamethrower. So that's why if we say print index, it will display me 0, 1, 2, and 3. And if I say print item, it will display me pens, staplers, flamethrowers, and binders. Okay, so the enumerate function returns me two values, the index of the item and the item in the list itself. Okay, so this is what is the meaning of enumerate. The enumerate function is used whenever you want to enumerate a list. The enumerate function will return you two things. It will give you the index and the item of the list. Okay. Now after that, there are random.choice function and then random.shuffle functions with lists. Now let us see what is this. The random module has a couple of functions that accept lists for arguments. The random is choice. Yeah. For example, let us say why we are learning all these things is because in the examination they will ask you a question. In the examination, you can expect a question like this: explain the random.choice and random.shuffle functions with lists. So they can specifically ask you, or they may ask you to, with the help of an example, explain any 5 functions with lists. Explain any 5 functions of list. They will ask you a question like that. Explain any 5 functions of list. So you have to remember them. Okay, how many we have studied? You can see here we have studied different types of functions. Okay, we have studied the in and not in operator. Then here we have studied the enumerate function. Then here we have studied the random choice, random shuffle function, and then further I think we are going to learn a few more functions. In the examination, they will ask you a question like that. They will ask you explain any 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 functions, built-in functions with lists. Okay, so we have understood what is the enumerate function. Now let us see what is the random choice function and random shuffle function. The random choice function takes as argument as a list, and then if I have a list, randomly it will simply pick up some element of the list and return it to you. Okay, the random, it's a library. Okay, and then it has got a function. It has got a function called as choice. Random is a library which has got a function called as choice. So if you want to invoke that, you have to write random.choice. Then you have to pass a list as parameter to it. The choice function expects you to send a list as parameter. What is pets? Pets has to be a list, and it is here defined. You can see pets is a list containing how many elements? 1, 2, and 3 elements. So random.choice pets, if you write, remember this function random.choice will randomly pick up some element from the list and it will return it to you. So in this case, you can see random.choice. First time when I executed this, it gave me the value dog, the first element. If I say random.choice pet, see next time if I do the same thing, then randomly it will pick up some element from the list and give me cat. Again, if I execute, again it gave me cat. Randomly, it is purely random. Randomly, it will just pick up some element of the list and gives it to you. Now you will ask me a question as to, sir, when to use this function? What is the use of this function? When to use this? Now remember, the use of these functions can be in several places. It depends upon what type of program you are writing. It depends upon what type of program you have been asked to write. Okay, so basically based on that, you can use this function. Okay, you can use this function based on that only. Depending upon what program you are writing. Okay, so don't worry about where to use it, why to use it. Just remember that there is a function called as choice, and what it does is it will randomly pick up some value from the list and it will give it to you. Similarly, what is random.shuffle function? Let us see. You can consider random.choice to be shorter form to be a shorter form of, okay, there is something like that. Let us see what is the shuffle. The random.shuffle function will reorder the items in the list. This function modifies the list in place rather than returning a new list. Enter the following into the interactive cell. Okay, what it does is, by this definition, you must have understood that the random.shuffle function will shuffle all the elements of the list. You can see that I have a list called as people, and then it contains elements like Alice, Bob, Carol, and David. Alice is the first element, Bob is the second element, Carol is the third element, and David is the fourth element. If I say random.shuffle people, okay, remember the shuffle function also takes list as a parameter. So it takes people. I pass people as the parameter to it. And now you can see that after shuffle function, when I display the people, when I display the list people, you can see that Carol came first, David came second, Alice came third, and Bob. You can see that it has shuffled the elements of the list. So this is what is done by the shuffle function. That's it. So random.choice function picks up randomly some element of the list, and random.shuffle function shuffles the elements of the list, and the first element becomes the last element. So randomly it shuffles it, randomly, all that. So here there is something called as an augmented assignment operator. Whenever we work with programming, we need to do a lot of arithmetic operations. You will easily understand this. What is the meaning of spam? Spam is a variable. Spam is equals to 42. What does it do? It will keep the value 42 into this variable spam. Okay, the value 42 will be copied into a variable spam. And then after that, if I do spam is equals to spam plus 1, it will increment the value of spam by 1 and then keep the value back into spam. So spam is equals to spam plus 1. It will increment the value of spam by 1. That is what happens with the variable spam. Spam initially was 42. After this statement, spam becomes 43. Because I'm taking the current value of spam, which is 42, I will add 1 to it. It will become 43. And now 43 is kept back into spam. So if I display the value of spam, it becomes 43. Instead of doing this, if I write it like this, spam is equals to 42, and then instead of writing spam is equals to spam plus 1, I can write this statement as this also. Spam plus is equals to 1. So spam plus is equals to 1 is similar to spam is equals to spam plus 1. Spam plus is equals to 1 is similar to spam is equals to spam plus 1. Please remember that. Okay, now similarly, spam minus equals to 1 is similar to spam is equal to spam minus 1. Spam star equals to 1 is similar to spam is equal to spam star 1. And the division also similar, and modulus also similar. Okay, I hope this is clear with all of you. And this is possible in C programming language also. I don't know whether you have used this ever in C programming language, but this is possible even in C programming language, C++, Java also this is possible. So instead of writing spam is equals to spam plus 1, I can always write it like this. This is called as augmented assignment statement. So they will ask you a question. What is augmented assignment statement? For 4 marks, they will ask you this. So you have to say that augmented assignment statements are a simpler version of arithmetic operations. Spam is equals to spam plus 1 can be written as like this. We use the plus and equals to sign together. It is called as augmented assignment statement. Okay. Now I will start with methods in the next class. Okay, this is important from your examinations point of view. Remember, this is important. We are going to learn a lot of built-in methods available with lists. If I want to sort the list, I can sort the list. If I want to delete some element from the list, I can delete an element from the list. If I want to add one more element to the list, there are methods to do that. So we are going to learn all the built-in methods. So the first method is index. Then after that, we are going to learn append method. Then we're going to learn insert method. Then we are going to learn remove method. Then we are going to learn sort method. Then we are going to learn sort is there. And then after sort, reverse. We're going to learn reverse method. So, okay. So basically we are going to learn all these methods in the next class with examples. So I will stop here today. Okay, 3 minutes remaining. So methods is what I will be doing it in the next class. Okay, I hope today's class was understandable. I hope you have understood all the concepts taught in today's class. If there are any doubts, you can please ask. You can please note them down, and then maybe in the next class you can ask me. Or still we have about 3 minutes left. Okay, more than 2 minutes left. So you can ask me the questions now. Okay, if you want to ask me the questions, you can ask me. You can just chat and ask me, or else I don't know. I'm not able to unmute all of you. Okay, so I think you have an option to unmute yourself. If you have any doubts, you can please ask me that. Okay, if not, you can just note them down in the next class. You can just type it in the chat. You can send. I will try to solve the problem. Okay, so we will stop here. Stop the sharing, and I will continue in the next class. So bye bye. Have a nice day, all of you.